Hello everyone, this is SWTOR Snoopy here, back with another video. Today, we're continuing with the glorious Sharpshooter Gunslinger PvP series. After grinding flashpoints and dailies for a couple of hours, I finally hit level 75 on my Gunslinger. This particular video is two Quesha Hutball matches that I got back to back. These were also my first two matches at level 75. They both have completely different outcomes, so I thought this video would work well as a double feature to show just how different Warzone matches can be. Just for reference, my character is in gear rating 288, has no augments, and is nowhere near optimized. Also, this video includes a post-match commentary and is not live. Anyways, I don't want to keep you guys waiting, so let's jump into the first match. Alrighty guys, we are in a match right now. So this is my second time recording this audio, because the first time I did have some mic troubles. So we're just gonna hope that this time that doesn't happen. So this is my first level 75 match as a gunslinger. You can even tell by how I still have my XP boost buff inside or on my buff tray. So this match, I won't even lie, it does show some very good teamwork and some very good focusing on the enemies, or at least the enemies that try to carry the ball. There's not really a trend on my behalf with this video. I was just kind of like testing the ropes, seeing what I could do as a gunslinger at level 75. So this isn't going to be any insane gameplay, anything crazy. I didn't have any plan going into this. So I thought that kind of is interesting. I think it sometimes is pretty fun to just go into a war zone and to just wing it, you know? Because there's a lot of times where I'll have like a game plan. I kind of decide what I'm going to try to do for that match before the match even starts. But sometimes you just got to kind of go with the flow with it. Just kind of see how the match plays out and decide what you're going to do. So I would say as a player in this match, my main goal was to be, I guess say kind of like an observer. As in, I would still do damage, but I was trying to stay away from everyone, kind of stay in the sidelines, just away from all of the enemies. Because I think one of the weakest things about me when I play a gunslinger is I'm not too good at dealing with pressure. And I know that that's probably not the best thing to say, and I know that that's a really bad thing to kind of deal with, because it's important to be good with pressure, especially when there's a bunch of enemies on you. But I think that sometimes when there is a lot of enemies attacking me and I am not prepared for it, I think sometimes I start to panic and start to use some different abilities at the wrong time, not really utilize my defensives, and just in general, just play really bad. But so far with this match, we're up by 1, and we did score once again. So it's a very good trend so far. I mean, with this match, I think at this point I had some very good momentum. I was very excited. I knew that our team was playing very, very well, and I thought that this could end up being a very good match. And another thing I already noticed is that our team had some pretty good DPS. It seems like we were able to take down enemies very quickly, and that is something that is important to have on a team, because if you can't take down enemies, as much as it's important to focus on the objective in these war zones and to play for the objective, it is important to still have some decent DPS, so you can take down the enemy team and they don't start to really overwhelm you. So you can already, I imagine you guys can already tell that we have a very, very good trend going here. We are already up by 3 points, and we're just continuing to get the ball. And I think that was not only just on our team's part, they were just going straight for the end zone, but also because we had some people in the back, or kind of like in the back lines, like myself, trying to just slowly pick off some of these other enemies. So I got into a nice little battle with this Jedi Guardian. It was almost becoming a 1v1, but I realized I didn't really want to deal with that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to throw this flash grenade on you, and I'm just going to dip. And then I went back to my teammates and just started to help them out. So we had this gunslinger right here. I decided I was gonna just help my teammates finish him off, and then I just continued to move on to people with mid that were in mid, and that's always good. I think one thing that a lot of people really don't do with Warzones is they don't play as a team, or rather they don't help each other or remain close as a group. I think as sometimes it is good to go alone in a war zone to, of course, kind of be like a one-man army and take people out. But at the same time, I think sticking together and staying with your teammates can really just help you take down enemies very, very quickly. I see it almost always in war zones where you have like a group of 4 people. They just go as a pack and they just completely obliterate people. And it's pretty impressive to see, you know, when you have a lot of people go together and do that, it is quite the scene. Now at this point, I was the first one down to mid, so I decided I was going to try to send it and go straight for the end zone. I know it probably wasn't the best thing to do, being a gunslinger trying to carry the hut ball all the way to the end, because as I mentioned, I'm not the best with dealing with pressure. But I wanted to try and see, you know, kind of take my hand at it, see if I could be successful. But one thing I did forget about, and I almost always forget about, is the hut ball explosion. So what ended up costing me there was the hut ball explosion. And honestly, in almost every hut ball warzone, especially the ones that I record for the channel, I feel like I always make that mistake. That I don't pay attention to the hut ball. I just try to carry it all the way, and then I just explode and then fail. And it's really embarrassing, but this time I got the hut ball once again, and I wanted some redemption. I wanted to carry this the whole entire way. I wasn't going to take no for an answer, and I think it worked out very well in my favor, because I didn't see any issues at all. I was just able to successfully walk straight to the end zone, didn't face any resistance from the enemy team, and it did work out in our favor. So I'm back at mid, just trying to DPS some enemies here. We just have some more fighting. I'm just looking for an enemy to attack, and then I noticed that I'm getting attacked by some people up top, but I wouldn't say I really had a focus here. I was just kind of attacking everyone I could. Like, for example, we did have this healer, and I did have a power tech that was helping me out with taking him out. But he decided to disappear, he dipped, and then I just went after some different people. And all while this was happening, someone was carrying the ball, and we were able to win that quickly. So I think this match was an example of good teamwork, but at the same time, we didn't face too much enemy resistance. I think we played very well, and I just think that we had an advantage over the enemy team, since we were focused on trying to get that victory and working together. But in this second match that I will show you guys, it's a completely opposite story, and I think that's why it's going to be so fun to watch, because matches can go 2 ways, and I think it's important to show 2 polar opposites. So let's just jump right into this second match. Alrighty guys, we are back for match number 2. Now, I know I've been hyping this up, how different this match is going to be, but I'm going to kind of let the gameplay speak for itself. I'm just going to go with a rundown of what I was thinking, but this is going to be pretty interesting to see, to say the least. But once again, with a Quest hut ball, I found it almost funny that I got the same exact Warzone twice in a row. Maybe it's destiny, I don't know, but I think the way this match plays out just shows how different war zones can be, and how matches can just go both ways, in that it's not always it's not said it's going to be the exact same every single time. So right off the bat, the enemy team was carrying the ball, and that is of course a no-no. We don't want that to happen. We want to, of course, win. And the enemy player got the hut ball explosion, so they fell for the trap just like I did in the past match. It's something that gets you, I swear. It's not something people think about, but the hut ball explosion is the real enemy of these war zones. But there were a lot of enemies attacking my friend right here. But luckily he was able to pass back up. And I was already starting to really get destroyed. I was getting hurt quite a bit. And I was just trying to escape because I did not want to be a part of that. So I went back up to mid and just continued my nice little attacking spree. So I saw this Vanguard right here. He was taking quite a bit of damage. And he also got the hut ball. So I knew that this was going to be the enemy I was going to target. And he passed it to one of his friends at the very last second. And I was getting a little nervous because I started to see the writing on the wall that this guy was getting very, very close to the opposite side. And he also had teammates that were helping him out. And just about this point, I saw that he was going to get all the way there. And as much as that is unfortunate, it does happen. You can't win them all. And I knew that if we just continued to focus, we could possibly just make up another point and then try to make a good little comeback. So just waiting for the good old respawn, as always. Just trying to chill. So I did see someone in the chat that was kind of roasting us that said that we weren't playing for the hut ball. And he was talking about deathmatch. And I feel like that was kind of a wake-up call for me in a sense. That I was like, okay, I need to focus on the hut ball. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to try and play this like a deathmatch. I want to help out my team. So I was focusing the guy that had the hut ball. But he did pass it. And I almost assumed that he was going to score. So I didn't really worry about focusing him. As silly and foolish as it is, I really just kind of had my mindset at that point. So I decided to go back and go towards the hut ball to help out my teammates. Because I saw that there was quite a few on the lower level. I knew that if I just continued to just play the game where I helped them out, that we could eventually score. Because like I said, I took that guy's comment to heart in the Obs channel chat. I didn't want to be that guy. I wanted to help out my team and just help one of my teammates just carry it all the way to the end zone. So I was focusing someone else, and I noticed that my teammate was taking quite a bit of damage. He had a lot of people on him, and it wasn't looking too good. And then the ball reset, and that was a pretty big surprise for me. So I was trying to help out, just stun this guy. But little did I know, I was one of the only few guys that was actually on this level. It took a while for my teammates to show up, or at least one of them. And then I realized that there were a lot of enemies down here and that I was gonna die. I just knew right off the bat that I was totally dead. But I was doing everything in my power to help out with slowing down that power attack. I did not want him to get the ball. But I turned around and not really to my surprise, there were absolutely an insane amount of enemy players just destroying me. So the trend I was starting to see is that our teams, I guess you could say on both sides, it seemed like we had fairly strong DPS. I felt like our team had strong DPS and was really starting to take down the enemy. But at the same time, the enemy team had some good DPS and they were starting to really hurt. Now, I think, in my opinion, I probably shouldn't have went back down to mid to help out. I think what I should have done is I should have gone on the side on the upper level of our end zone. Not so someone could jump to me, but so I could just keep the high ground and try to slow people down, knock them back, and do everything I can to be careful. But sadly, they did score again, and it wasn't looking too good for us. When an enemy team has a 3-0 lead, you know that it's not a good time. You have to make something up real quick. And I wanted to help out my teammates and go after the person carrying the ball, but I was too greedy trying to get a single kill. And that was definitely my bad because I was so low, I was so focused on trying to take down enemies that I completely forgot focus and didn't pay attention to the people carrying the ball. And that is the trend of this match, is I think it's kind of like a game of like a dog seeing a frisbee. Like there was some points where I would be really focused on the hut ball, helping out my teammates and trying to just focus. But at the same time, I would see one thing happening on an absolute opposite side of the map, and then I would just join in on that fight rather than trying to help us score. Don't know why I said that so slow and so like weird, but you know what? We're not going to worry about it. So right here, it's 4-0. It is going really bad. I am a bit demotivated at this point. I don't even know what I was doing in the footage right here. I was just kind of jumping all over the place on our side, not really doing anything good. So I said I'm going to go after the huff ball and help out. But I think that I thought it was a good idea to go after the person carrying the huff ball. But once again, I was in one of those situations where there was a lot of enemies and there was no support. I was going to try to grapple back up. I realized that wasn't going to happen. And well, you can tell where this is going to go. We're going to get a major rip right there. We're going to get annihilated by 5 enemy teammates. And now moving on. It looked like our team was trying to stop the evil enemy ball carrier. I learned from my mistake. I was going to keep with the high ground and try to keep everyone up. But unfortunately, there was a power tech there to try and ruin our fun. He was trying to DPS us down and really mess with us. But luckily, my penetrating shots does knock people down with one of the utilities I have active. So that was pretty clutch. But we were continuing to get pressured by this power tech. And I think he was doing a good job at messing with us, because that was, I'm assuming that was his goal, was to harass us and make it not a fun day. So the score was now 5-0. One more point, and the enemy team wins it all. And at this point, I saw there was 1 minute 48 seconds on the clock. And I said, you know what? We're going to lose this match, but if we're going to lose, we are not going to lose to a 6-0. That is the ultimate disrespect, my friends. You cannot lose to that. No matter what, if you're playing a Warzone, it is the most disrespectful thing to get beat 6-0. So I said, my goal is to help out my teammates. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that they do not beat us 6-0. So the rest of this gameplay is me trying to help out and trying to just keep everyone away. And since we are close to the end of the match, I think it's important to point out just how different these two matches are. I mean, the one match ago, we were destroying, we were just taking everyone out, having no issues, no repercussions for anything we were doing. But in this match, it's the exact opposite. We are facing a lot of heavy damage. We are getting taken out quite a bit. And it is not fun at all. Like, this is, I say the match is fun because it allows us to kind of learn from our mistakes and see what happens when you aren't playing too well. But at the same time, it wasn't too great of an experience. It was a little disappointing. But since there was 24 seconds on the clock, I knew that they were not going to score again, and that we were going to stop the 6-0 kind of a little, little system that was happening. So 10 seconds left on the clock. This was the end of the match, and I was disappointed. I won't even lie. But I think the important thing to note is having that disappointment is good because it just fuels you to become better and to improve. So that was a defeat, and those were the two Quest Huff Ball matches. Two complete polar opposites, but a good example on how Warzones can go both ways, and that sometimes you have to focus and use some teamwork to be successful. So that's going to do it for this Sharpshooter Gunslinger PvP episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next one.